My 22F BF, 24M, says he wants a paternity test if we have kids. I've been with my BF for over 2 years now, and I'd like to think we have a good relationship. We have traveled to different countries both together and apart, as in with other friends. We go out to clubs and bars together but also have girls-boys nights. Our relationship isn't overly clingy in any regard, and I think we have a good distance when necessary. We trust each other to do our own thing. We've talked about our future and our interests seem aligned. Then all of a sudden we were out with our friends yesterday and the topic of kids came up, and he said that if his wife, GF, whoever gets pregnant, he'd want a paternity test. Naturally this shocked me, and later, in private, I asked him about it. He told me it's something he anticipates to do because, you never know. I told him, what's the point of a relationship if you don't trust the person? He told me he trusts me, but this is just what he expects of a relationship. I'm not sure if this is normal or how to handle this from here. Edit. It seems a lot of you are divided on this. Half the people are saying it should be a standard while the other half are saying they'd be really hurt by this. I think I'm going to talk to my BF about this again and ask where this motivation for a test is coming from. And if it is from a place of thinking I will cheat, then I will likely reevaluate the relationship. Maybe I'll show him this post. Thank you everyone for your advice and opinions. I really truly appreciate it. You made me open my eyes to this issue a bit more and think outside of my personal feelings box. Edit. I just realized something I think is relevant to this. When we talked about kids in the past, I mentioned that I would like to adopt a child and he seemed okay with this. Clearly he is okay with raising a child that is not genetically related to him. But if I get pregnant he still wants me to take a test. Does this not inherently mean that he wants the test as an excuse to see if I've cheated? If we adopted all our kids, would he still have a lack of trust in me? It's good that he's being forthright by putting this expectation out there long before any actual pregnancy. A lot of guys wait until after the baby is born to suddenly spring a paternity test request on their partner and then act shocked for some reason when the results get served with divorce papers. Lol. Just like a prenup request. This is something that a lot of people would be okay with and a lot of people wouldn't be. And I don't think either of you are necessarily wrong with your rationale. Edit. Lol. And here's an example of how not to approach this. Posted earlier today. It's a deal breaker for me. I don't want to spend my life with someone who doesn't trust me. That's no foundation for a relationship. My ex told me that he would because he had fertility issues. I did end up pregnant 5 years into the relationship. Not planned. He did get a paternity test but never accused me of cheating or anything. If I was a dude, I might do the same thing. It never hurt my feelings or anything. I honestly didn't care. I obviously knew it was his. All that matters is whether you're comfortable with it or not. He's allowed to request this. But you're allowed to find it a deal breaker. Props to him for telling you before a baby is involved. That's great communication on his part. I see people saying they have it as a condition for their relationship. And I'm glad it works for them. For me, emotionally, I wouldn't be able to handle the implication that the person I've built a life with and father of my child needs an outside test to be sure. I'm able to logically comprehend why someone would ask for it, but it would feel like my husband asking me to take an STD test after being cleared years ago and then being fully exclusive with each other. The trust is gone, and therefore so is my reason to stay. If you're the same way, you may have found an incompatibility to either work through or part ways. It would be fine with me, as long as I could be allowed to check his phone, computer for the same reasons. XD. I mean, At least you found out before you actually got pregnant? I don't think it's normal. But where you go from here depends on whether or not you're okay with this. You don't have to be okay with it. But that would most likely mean either never having children with him or not continuing the relationship. If I had not given my so any reason to mistrust me or suspect me of cheating, I would be hurt by such a request as well. Relationships are built on trust, not just fidelity, but emotional trust as well. If you don't have trust, you don't have a relationship. It is one-sided at best. I'd ask him if he'd be okay if whenever any woman in his social circles or at his work got pregnant, you asked to test those babies just to be sure they weren't his. Peace of mind is priceless. If there's an assumption of cheating on your part, there must be an assumption of cheating on his part too. Anytime he goes out without you, boys' nights or whatever, insist on an STD test, this is a logical extension of the idea. Either nobody is cheating and there should be the default of some basic trust, or everyone is cheating and everyone must be tested. I find it interesting that he worded it as, if my wife, fiancé, girlfriend, rather than, if you. That tells me that he doesn't really envision you as the pregnant one, but rather a future, other, partner. Do you really want to be with somebody in your 20s? Who doesn't see a future with you? That just sees a future with somebody? This guy sounds really immature and not very serious. I think paternity tests should be automatically done. It would save a lot of grief later on. Normal is different for every relationship. You aren't pregnant or married, so he's not springing this on you out of the blue when you're trapped. He can ask and expect it. That doesn't mean you have to do it. It means you make a choice. Do you stay with him knowing he wants a paternity test no matter what? Or do you marry and have kids with someone who trusts you fully? Those are the choices. He's been clear what he wants and needs. You now choose if it's something you'd be able to handle. Really think it through. Don't hope or expect him to change. Can you handle holding your newborn while he does the cheek swabs to do the test? Will you resent him for it? Think it through and make a choice. You are not wrong to walk away. He is not wrong to be clear all along what he expects. I understand being hurt, but as long as he's willing to pay for it, I'm not sure what the issue is. It doesn't seem like he specifically thinks you have cheated on him. Just that this is a rule for all partners he'd have a child with. It's like when I make long-term partners get an STI screening with me. Does it mean I think you're lying when you said you're clean? Nope. But is it better to do it anyway? Yep. I have a friend who married a girl and they had 3 kids. After 10 years she left him. He fought for shared custody. She produced DNA tests showing that none of them were his. It isn't the good old days. I personally have begun leaning more and more towards the idea it should be enforced by the state. For multiple reasons outside of sniffing out paternity fraud. But I suppose that's beside the point. Some men feel it important to know that their kid is really their kid. There often isn't an obvious means of just knowing a kid is or isn't yours. It's important to some men and I don't really see the opposition to it. Yes, the mother may interpret it as not trusting her, but the possible insult a woman may feel on that moment does not even compare to the possible emotional damage of a father who finds out later he was a victim of paternity fraud. For men who think like this, it is a better safe than sorry attitude, and emo is entirely rational and understandable. A woman will always know that her child is hers. Always. A man cannot know for certain that a child is his unless he gets a paternity test. Now, imagine if someone is demanding an 18-year commitment from you on faith. Someone asks you to take an 18-year-long job with only a verbal promise that you'll get a huge payment at the end of that job. No contract, just a verbal promise. In fact, once you start that 18-year-long job, you can't stop it. You can't give up halfway. The courts will force you to continue that job until those 18 years are up. Or they will put you in jail. Compared to that, what is a paternity test to a woman? He doesn't believe me. Try not to think of it as him not trusting you. Try to think of it as you proving your honor to him. You're confirming that what he already believes about you is true. Your edit of adoption info really has no standing here. Choosing to adopt a child that you know isn't biologically yours is completely different than thinking you are raising a child that is biologically yours when it is not. Nah. In the Midwest I've been threatened a few times with men I was with demanding a paternity test if I became pregnant. This is why they are exes. So for good men I wouldn't say that's normal. For paranoid assholes, men who were already cheating, it's normal. It's not normal. Men can try to make it sound as rational as possible, but it's centered on mistrust. They don't completely trust their partners. No trust means less respect for their partner, and there will just be so many issues down the line. He doesn't believe in 100% commitment or monogamy. If he has that sliver of doubt, it also means he would probably cheat. Seen so many men crying about getting caught doing paternity tests and end up saying they cheated or were cheated on in the past. These men need therapy, not babies.
If you enjoyed this video, please check out our playlists full of similar content. Epicaricast is like doom scrolling for your ears. Please like, share, and subscribe.